So here, left spin, there you go. And that's literally a piece of cake. That's a shot that any good pool player should do. Okay, so the Massé shot. Massé is kind of a big word. People don't really know exactly what it means, but really Massé is when you put spin on the ball to make it curve into somewhere. So avoid an object ball to make another one. So to me, Massé is more of an instinctive shot than anything, but assuming there's some sort of basis about how to kind of aim to it. So what I do in this particular situation here is I'm gonna aim to just miss the 9 ball. So not miss it here, but just barely miss it, right? So from there, I already have my aiming point, and I'm not really looking at the 3. I know where the 3 is, but I'm looking at the ball here to just go right there. And that would be what I call my breaking point. That's where the curve is gonna change. Now, if you're a pool player, a good pool player, medium level pool player, you know you can use spin on the cue ball. So there's different quadrant using the clock system. So you can go here, 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 and you can basically make something different with your cue ball. So the first one would be, you just have to know what you're doing when you hit what we call 6 o'clock, so just straight up. So 6 o'clock, you basically kind of look at the ball, go like this. Okay, there wasn't 6, there was a little more. I'm gonna re-hit. There you go. So that was a perfect 6 o'clock, just straight backspin. Now, if you go on the left side, you're gonna go here and a little bit this way. If you go on the right side, you're gonna go here and a little bit to the right side. So obviously you can combine all that to kind of find your right angle. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shoot it one time here, show you. So here, left spin, there you go. And that's literally a piece of cake. That's a shot that any good pool player should do. Now again, we're gonna set it up again, and I'm gonna show you where to hit on the cue ball. So remember, 6 o'clock would be there, that would be 7, that would be 8, that would be 9. In my case here, I like to use a good 9 because simply I'm just gonna go forward and then turn. I don't need much more. I don't need any backspin really. So here, and that's it. So it was a little light, that's why I barely hit the ball, but it still worked good. Most of the standard Massé, you're just gonna use what we call the American grip or the normal grip, which is basically just your full hand there. However, some Massé and some people, they kind of reverse their hand. It helps them, you know, go and kind of go over the ball a little better. So this is what we call the European style grip, or more dart style. So basically what you do is you put your cue in between your index and your thumb and kind of leave the rest of the hand right open. So you're gonna use a little more the wrist rather than the full arm. So it requires a little more of a thin stroke rather than power. It's the same shot here, cue ball around the 9 into the 4. Only difference, I'm going to do it the European grip. Just like that. Now you can see a little bit of a difference too, is it was a little more of a curve, a little more powerful, and I would say, in my opinion, a little less controlled at this angle. Now if you're doing bigger Massé again, this might be the grip you like. And quite frankly, you know, it's more of a personal preference, so the best I can tell you is try and see what works for you. We just covered an easy Massé. We're gonna go something a little harder. So let's say something like this, okay? Now, obviously, you know, you can't really go low angle because you won't have time to get the curve. So this is where I'll say the true Massé basically comes in. In this case, again, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look sort of like if I'm banking the ball. So in my situation here, I would look right there, you know, kind of put him halfway. And it kind of gives me some sort of a guide. Now, again, the balls are pretty close. So what you're gonna have to do is go up and then back. Now, this is not as easy as the previous shots, very much harder control, but we have different solution too. So depending on the table, depending on your cue, depending how comfortable you are, you have different type of bridge. So I'm gonna show you a little bit the difference we can get. Again, we're on the rail here. So you could simply do like this. So open bridge, probably aiming about 7 o'clock, just like that. Now, sometimes the table just don't react so well, the felt's not as nice, the cue ball's not as clean. So you have different solutions here. So the first one would be to play it with an air bridge, what we call that. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my elbow and I'm gonna put it right on top of my hip, just like that. So it kind of gives me, you know, more of a solid bridge. Then I'm gonna just circle there, and then same way up there. And then pretty much we're gonna just aim the same way I did. See, so I didn't put enough left spin, but I had a lot of power, so that's great. Now that's one solution. As you can see, there's a difference in power between open bridge and the closed bridge there in my air bridge. The next solution gives you even more power. This is basically putting your knee on the table. Now the advantage of the knee, even though it might be a little high, it might be a little uncomfortable at first, is you got a very solid bridge hand. So it's especially useful if you had a second ball there. Let's do here, for example, if you want to go around it. See, my first shot with the open bridge would have been a little dangerous, you know. Here, knee on the table, circled up, same spots, something like 637, just like that. Okay, I nicked the 6, but to me it's good enough. And we're gonna keep going. So this was one solution, a second solution, and there would be, I would say, sort of an in-between solution. So in between the air bridge, in between the open bridge, in between the leg bridge. This is a little easier when you're not too comfortable putting your whole knee on the table. And it's something like this. So you're kind of gonna sit down. The thing is, you're gonna also use your leg. The only difference is you're gonna have to put your hand a little lower. So I'm not a fan of that one. This is usually my least favorite of all of the bridges, simply because I can't see the ball that way because my leg covers part of it. And I don't think it's comfortable, you know, to me it hurts. I can't really put my, my arm as high, but you know, we'll try it anyway. So that would be one of the solution. It would be this way. There you go. So now you've seen pretty much every bridge I kind of have in my arsenal as far as Massé goes. As you can see, they all have sort of a different use, simply because, yeah, the open bridge is more for shorts. The closed bridge, air bridge, you can go a little farther, but doesn't mean you're gonna like it. And then the leg bridge to me is really the most powerful I have. The last one, again, it's on personal preference. If you're not comfortable putting your whole leg on the table, then you simply kind of sit and raise it here a little bit. A lot of the time, the real question I have is not about the stance, it's not about the bridge, it's about where to hit the cue ball. Now remember, if you don't have a good bridge or a good stroke or a good position on your backhand, it doesn't matter if you hit the ball, you're not gonna make the shot. So those are really important. So now we're gonna start easy. So backspin, normal backspin, not too powerful. I'll probably hit right here. Now, if I wanna have more of a powerful backspin, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my tip much further back and hit it as extreme as possible. And now in the shots I do in the video, sometimes I have to go even more extreme, and I'm nearly half a tip away from the edge of the ball, which is really as much as spin I can give it. Now this works pretty much everywhere around. So you can go standard left, standard right, extreme right, and you could do a follow Massé, which is in front of the middle of the cue ball. So we'll be looking at 10 or 11 o'clock. What's gonna do is 10 or 11 o'clock is gonna send the ball further to curve later. Beside that, there's no exact point to hit the ball. All I can tell you is there's too thin. That means you hit not enough of the ball and you just miscue. And then there's too full, what I call if you hit the ball right in the head, which would be right there. And that's, you're gonna hear the noise, you know you hit it too full. So it's only really too full or too thin. The rest is kind of a find your sweet spot, experiment, and there's no real secret. Just practice, practice, practice. You can hit a lot of great Massé with a standard playing cue. However, if you start abusing a little bit, you might crack the ferrule, you might break your tip, or you might even break your shaft. So for the Massé you see in the videos, we use what I call a Massé cue. It's not what I call, it's basically what it is. So a Massé cue is this here. It's, as you can see, a little shorter. Usually the diameter of the shaft is a little bigger. The tip is bigger, it's 14 millimeter here. The ferrule is smaller, a little lower at least so it doesn't break. The tip is a super soft. And the main characteristic of the cue is heavier. So it's a standard butt, but we just have a lot more weight into it. And the way it's gonna help you to project the cue ball there to come back. So what we're gonna do here is we're simply gonna hit the cue ball around those 14 balls into the 8 ball. Now some places will not allow you to do a Massé shot simply because it's a little dangerous, and if you don't do it well, you might scratch the felt. So you can always kick at the ball. Might not be as cool or impressive, but it usually is as useful. Remember, any question, please comment below, let me know, and we'll try to answer the best we can. See you next time for another video.